Hello and welcome back to Completely Naked Gaming. Let's play Broken Sword, The Shadow of the Templars. This is part 7. If you haven't watched the previous 6, please go back and do so now. Now in part 6, we got rid of Beardy McGee over here. Now on that topic, I'm going to just quickly do a bit of selfless promotion. Me and a few other people are doing Movember. For anybody that doesn't know what Movember is, it's where you don't shave for the entire, well, you don't shave your mustache area for the entire month of November. We're not just doing it because we're weird, we're doing it for a good cause. It's for men's health. So there's going to be a link on the screen about now. So if you can follow that and donate, great. But that's it. That's the little bit of promotion over. Let's get in with the game. Now that we've got rid of Beardy McGee here, we can start playing silly buggers with his haystack. So let's go ahead and do that.
The stack of hay stopped, short at the top of the wall. Even if I stretched as far as I could, the wall was out of reach. What I needed was a slice or two of Alice's Wonderland.
That's it, George. You wish for magic mushrooms. Right, so we need to get up here, but George is not tall enough. See? Oh. That's dangerous. So let's have a look, see if there's anything... Oh, there we go.
I pushed my fingers into the narrow crack. It went back several inches into the rock.
Right, so we need to penetrate this rock. That's the only thing I can see that would work. Bingo.
I inserted the end of the lifting key in the mortarless crack and gave it a firm shove. It remained lodged in the wall, jutting out to form a step.
Yeah, it did. Right, so now we can climb over. Okay, so here he is, the infamous goat. Now, this is the puzzle that so many people struggled with. A ridiculous amount of people struggled with this. I actually never had the problem. I think I did it by accident. I didn't even know that it was a puzzle. But so many people couldn't do this. And obviously you got to remember when this game first came out, the internet wasn't what it is now. You couldn't just go online and Google it and, you know, find the answer. So people were stuck on this for weeks. Stupid goat.
The rope by which the goat was tethered had become tangled on the old plowshare.
Just look at his face. Looks like the goat's cum face. Yeah, anyway. Oh, I gotta play with the goat more, sorry. I was gonna go down the ladder then, but I just love the damn goat.
Hey, Billy. The animal fixed on me with an evil glare. Behind the malice and resentment, there was a cool intelligence. How you doing, boy? I felt as threatened as I'd been by the assassin and his goons in Paris.
Now, you mentioned about an intelligence. Goats can actually talk, and if you don't believe me, Google it.
The goat was tangled up with the old plow.
Yeah, it was. Right.
Hey, Billy. The goat responded with a...
Nah. Let's go back down the... Well, let's go down the ladder. There's nothing else here, by the way. You can scan over. Nothing to look at. Nothing to see here. Right, so here we are. Now, if you scan around the room, you'll see that obviously we can leave, but we don't want to do that, we've only just got here. you'll see that there's something we can interact here. We can pick something up, something here. There's obviously some kind of door or archway here. And there's a couple of bits on the table.
The only object on the table which interested me was a small sack.
George loves sack.
As I dipped my fingers into the soft white powder, I realized what it was.
Cocaine.
Plaster of Paris.
Damn.
I'd used it in kindergarten to make casts of animal paw prints.
Right. So let's try and interact with the door then.
I
Push.
tried in vain to move the panel.
Damn. What's this?
I placed my fingers and thumb into the holes in the wall. Nothing happened.
Now this is just a bit of advice, but if you find a strange underground cavern and you see holes in the wall, don't finger them. Don't put your fingers in strange holes. You don't know what's in there.
The statue was too heavy to lift. It overbalanced into the sand.
Didn't overbalance, you pushed it over.
As I swung the stone upright, I noticed it had left a pattern of holes in the sand.
Now, luckily for us, although George isn't particularly strong by the looks of it, he is very clever. So, we've just got some plaster of Paris, which he said we can make moulds from. If we stick some of that in the holes.
I sprinkled the plaster on the sand until the holes were filled.
Right, now obviously the way that this stuff works is we need to wet it. The only thing that we got that, again, this is something that people got stuck on for ages as well, is the beer towel. We actually ran it under the tap in the cellar, if you remember.
The towel had dried out and was barely damp.
But now it was dry. So what we need to do is go back, wet it again, and come back. There's a certain amount of time allowed. Now obviously I've had a lot of stuff to do in between doing that. I'll leave that where it is. I wonder whether or not the barman's actually noticed I've not done any work on his pumps yet. And also, how did they get their beers? Or ales?
Hello.
Hello there. Let me introduce you to my pals.
We've already met. I want you to know you have my sympathy.
Oh, it's just terrible, awful.
It's the worst news I heard all day.
Let's top the bad news all right for this week and the next.
The whole year.
It's worse than that. It's the worst disaster in living memory.
Isn't it the biggest calamity in the history of the village?
I would say it's the biggest in the history of Ireland.
The most awesome disaster since mankind paddled out of the primal plop.
There's no beer.
Is a glass of beer more important than a man's life?
Yes.
Were you talking to me?
To all of you. Sean Fitzgerald has met with God knows what, and all you can do is drink.
Sean has gone for a ride in a flash car, that's all. Why don't you calm down and join us?
Join you doing what? You just said there's no beer.
What about Sean? Why aren't you out looking for him?
There's no point in launching an ill-equipped expedition to save the lad. In a life or death situation, preparation is essential. That's why I slipped in here.
For a point.
Okay.
I gotta go.
So, to the cellar. He's still fiddling. Bless him. He's going to have a dodgy neck, though. Right. Tap's still on. If you remember, I left it on. There's a choice here. Going to wet the towel again.
I held the towel under the faucet and soaked it with water.
Yes, you did. We're still going to leave it on. Let's leave. So now we need to get back to the area in the castle before this towel dries out. If I remember rightly, it takes a little while, so it shouldn't be a problem. Now, Loch Marn is obviously a fictional place in Ireland, but I'd love to know whether or not it's supposed to be Northern Ireland or Southern Ireland. Poor goat. Still funny though. Right, so we've got our wet towel, we've got our plaster of Paris. Let's do this. Oh, tilt. There we go. Go.
The trickle of water was quickly absorbed by the plaster.
You're a clever bastard, aren't you? Pick it up then.
I eased the solid piece of plaster from the sand. Underneath, it had formed a perfect copy of the statue.
Now I wonder where this could go.
The hardened plaster cast fitted snugly into the 5 matching sockets. There was a soft thud, then silence.
Bum bum bum. Okay, let's go. It's a handy torch or flashlight. Don't know why they call them flashlights. They don't flash. Montfaucon, eh?
So, where did you stay last night?
At McDevitt's, I got to drinking with Doyle and a couple of the guys.
That explains why you look so ill today. Did you get any sleep at all?
Not much. I had to share the room with another guy.
Did he snore?
Hardly. He was dead. Then Leary woke me in the middle of the night to help bail out the cellar.
The cellar was flooded?
Yeah, some idiot had left the faucet running.
And you say Pigram has disappeared?
Without a trace. But my visit wasn't a complete waste of time.
Pigram's gem?
The Templars gem. Whoever Jacques Marquet is, he's in for a disappointment.
Jacques Marquet?
He's the guy who should have collected the gem from Fitzgerald.
I've been reading about Pigram in this magazine.
So
The
George,
media
make
got
yourself
its
comfortable.
claws on him.
Yeah, if I was his agent, I'd get him to lose the pipe.
That dig must have been pretty important to him. He resigned his chair at Durham University to go to Ireland. And now he's disappeared. See what you can find out about Professor Pegram.
I'll speak to the university. What are your plans?
I want to find out who, what, or where Montfaucon was. All I've got to go by is the name and a picture of a hanged man.
Right. So, as I said before, the leaving the tap on was a choice, and you got a line of dialogue there that you wouldn't get otherwise. Something that didn't really ring true with me, though, is the fact that he said he got to drinking with the guys, which is quite strange, because the pumps were never fixed, so I don't know how he did that. Anyway, let's carry on. Let's talk about Pegram. Nice pipe.
What do you know about Professor Pegram?
I've seen a television program, Pegram's Past. He's written a book, The Crusader Families of Ireland.
Right, so we've got the gem. Let's talk about that a bit, shall we?
Do you want to look after the gem?
No, Josh. I'd be too tempted to sell it.
At least she's honest. What else did we get? Plaster of Paris.
Look, Nico, a handful of plaster.
Yeah. Why is it that men never really grow up?
What's your problem, sister?
Your pockets stuffed with useless junk like little boys.
You never know when useless junk might come in handy.
That's an important lesson right there. George has loads of useless junk throughout his adventures, and pretty much all of it is useful. Okay, so we can talk rubbish about stuff we've already talked about in the past, but let's have a look at the map.
Let's take another look
Map?
at the
Not
manuscript.
map, manuscript. What the hell am I talking about a map for? Right. So, let's talk about...
That's the gem that Pegram found in Lochmarn.
Yeah, the
That's
tripod?
the tripod in the Croon Museum.
Queen. Lady in the mirror.
There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces.
She reminds me of the Wicked Queen in Snow White.
She was the one who said mirror, mirror on the wall, wasn't she? She made me cry so much when I was a kid, Mom carried me out of the movie theater.
She didn't frighten me in the least.
Like I said, I was only a kid. I didn't like the crocodile in Peter Pan either.
George, you wimp.
A knight with a crystal ball. Now, there's something written on the scroll beside the knight.
Yes, but it's written in Latin. Per disciplinam mea lux videbis.
By my teachings, you will see the light.
You speak Latin? Where did you learn a trick like that?
A trick? I studied law, okay? I can read Latin.
My, you're touchy. Tell me that again.
Through my teachings, you will be enlightened.
Okay.
The night scroll bears through my teachings, you will be enlightened.
Yeah, I didn't mean to click that.
There's a guy working on a loom. He's weaving a carpet or a tapestry.
Or a duvet cover? It's a clue to a place, I reckon. Somewhere famed for weaving and ships.
Where folk live in barrels?
It beats copper boxes.
There's a guy with a sword and a bull.
The only mythological bull I know of is the Minotaur, but he was only half bull.
I don't think I'd like to be half a bull, even if it was the bottom half.
What's that object between them?
It looks like a gem on top of a tripod.
Okay. So that was bloody useless. But I hadn't done it earlier in the game, so I thought I might as well go for it. Right, we might as well leave Nico's apartment.
I can't sit here all day, much as I'd like to.
Okay. Don't forget to look for Lobinot at the Croon Museum. And why don't you see if Rosso has heard anything?
Okay. Anything else I can do for you while I'm out? Shopping, a trip to the laundromat?
Just take care of yourself.
Dramatic music, just to walk out the door. Love it. Now, in the director's cut, Nico's nowhere near as lazy as she is in this one. So, as I keep saying, if you're gonna play the game, play the original first, as I think everybody should, and then play the director's cut. It's well worth playing through twice, believe me. Okay, so Nico's given us basically a direct message to go to either the museum or to the police station. Now, I'm going to choose the police station. No reason, just because I can. Nice mustache. Again, don't forget, November. I wish I could grow a mustache like that.
Excuse me.
Ah, Monsieur Stobart, n'est-ce pas?
That's correct. You remember me.
The retention of such data is part of my duty as a gendarme. That is how crime is fought, through attention to detail, not intuition.
Yes, sure. I really did see the clown. He ran into the alley across the street.
Did you follow him?
I lost him. I figure he went underground.
Do you know how many kilometers of sewers there are beneath this great city?
It's not a question I've lost sleep over.
I have no doubt that Inspector Rousseau will organize a proper search.
Is Rosso here?
Yes,
Let's
he
speak
is.
to Rosso.
You wish to speak to him?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
One moment, monsieur.
Now, there's a lot more I could speak to
Stobart
Moo
is here
about.
to see you, monsieur.
Did he say what it was about?
No, monsieur.
Very well.
Hi, Inspector. Remember me?
But of course, Mr. Stobart, my mind is a well-ordered faculty. A mental classification system that's the envy of the Bibliothèque Nationale. No tricks, mark you, monsieur. Just exercise. Just as our muscles waste through inactivity, so our minds decay. But there is no need. If only people would learn to exercise their wits daily.
If he was trying to impress me, it worked. He was pompous and patronizing, but he had style.
Eh bien, if you called about the bombing, you're too late. Investigations have been closed.
But
I've been taken off the case.
what about the murderer, the dead guy?
It is out of my hands.
Okay, so what I got from that conversation is obviously he's no longer working on the case, and it's almost as if they're hinting that you should play Brain Training or whatever it's called on the DS, which came out after this game. But yeah, I'm just saying. Let's talk about some psychic stuff.
What was that psycho detective business you did in the cafe?
It is my theory that the passions evoked in violent crimes create ripples in the ether, invisible to all but the possessor of a highly developed and receptive mind.
I'm impressed. Can you bend spoons, too?
I didn't think a man of your obvious intelligence would stoop to mockery.
I'm not mocking. I've had personal experience of the power of the mind. I used to get ignored at parties until I read a book that changed my life.
Really? What was it called?
Hypnotism for Fun and Profit. He looked at me as if I'd farted at a funeral.
The power of mesmerism is a rare gift, not a party trick.
Sorry for laughing while they were talking there, but the farted at a funeral thing, it's just brilliant.
You're not going to try any of that psychic interrogation on me, are you?
Do you find the thought of my probing distasteful?
Let's just say I'd rather you didn't. I've got more doubts than doubting Thomas when it comes to mysticism.
Too bad. I think you would make an interesting subject under controlled regression.
The day I let anyone mess with my mind hasn't dawned yet. Did you find out the ID of the guy who was killed in the explosion?
I already knew who he was.
I heard that the bomb victim's name was Plantar.
Your sources are reliable.
He was a big shot at the Treasury, wasn't he? Maybe that's why you've been taken off the case.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I cannot comment.
Do you know a pair of thugs called Flap and Guido?
I have known those two since they graduated from special school. Flap is a nasty piece of work, but Guido is the real brains of the partnership. Where did you hear of them?
I met them out front of the Hotel Ubu.
Didn't want to tell him that they touched him up, no? Okay.
Don't you want to know what I found out about the killer?
I told you, monsieur, the case is closed. I have washed my hands of the whole affair.
Then I'll have to continue my investigations without your help.
No, you must forget the business of the clown completely. Go back to being an ordinary tourist, Stobard.
No way.
Have you heard of Professor Pegram, the archaeologist?
Molly Pegram, the second son of Lord Barclay Pegram.
Well, I don't know. I only read about him in a magazine.
So much for the efficacy of rehabilitation. What has he done this time?
He made an important archaeological find in Ireland. Do you know Pegram well?
I have connections with the family, but I wouldn't say I knew him at all.
Is his name really Molly?
Of course not. That was the nickname he was given at school. All his friends and acquaintances know him as Molly.
Ever heard of a guy called Marquet? Jacques Marquet?
Marquet. I know the name well. He has a record for suspected blackmail, kidnapping, arson, and art theft.
An all-rounder, huh? How come he's on the loose?
His bravado is matched only by the courtroom skills of his attorney.
Okay, so we can talk about some more stuff here. We'll ask him about the new things that we've got. We're not going to ask him about the other stuff. Actually, we'll show him the
Do
picture.
you recognize the man in this photograph?
No.
It's the face of a killer.
The man who bombed the cafe?
The photograph was taken soon after the explosion. He'd escaped through the sewers, leaving a trail of clues behind him.
Circumstantial evidence, Stobard. None of it proves a thing.
What do you make of this, Inspector?
Astounding. Where did you come by a stone like that?
I was given it by a man in a bar in Ireland. Do you recognize the gem?
It is unfamiliar to me. If such a jewel had been stolen, I would know it for sure.
What do you make of this white powder, Rosso?
It is plaster.
Say, you're good.
Let's try and chop
Would
it.
you care to shake my hand, Inspector?
Please don't be offended if I decline your offer, Stobard. The palms of my hands are particularly sensitive.
Okay.
So long, Inspector.
So, let's carry on speaking to the man with the tash.
Excuse me.
What do you want now?
Do you know a man named Khan? He's a shifty-looking guy with a scar on his left cheek.
No, monsieur. Has this man any connection with the bombing of the cafe?
Yes. I believe Khan was the name he used when he hired the clown costume. I'd like to report an assault.
Yes, monsieur. Where is the victim?
I'm the victim. I've been harassed by a pair of thugs.
I see. And where did this alleged assault take place?
Outside the Hotel Ubu. They stopped me as I was leaving and went through my pockets.
Could you describe the suspects, monsieur?
One looked like a gorilla, and the other looked like a weasel. Their names are Flap and Guido.
Bon. I'll get them this time.
What are you going to do about Flap and Guido, Sergeant?
I'm going to bust them, monsieur. For years I have been hoping to pin something on that pair. Now's my chance. I'll show them. And the inspector.
Thanks, Sergeant. Thanks for taking me seriously.
I'm only doing my duty, monsieur.
Have you heard of a man called Marquet?
Yes. He used to be known as the Mole of Montmartre. I heard he's been hospitalized, probably by one of his rivals.
Which hospital was Marquet taken to?
The Hagenmeyer Clinic in the Avenue des Hérissons.
Why was Marquet known as the Mole of Montmartre?
Because he lived in Montmartre, I suppose.
Yeah, but why the mole?
I don't know. Maybe he ruined people's lawns.
Okay, so we've just been told that the guy that was supposed to pick up the gem is in a nearby hospital. So that's now going to be added to our map. We're going to try and shake the guy's hand, speak to him about some mysterious powder, and show him a gem and a picture, and then we're going to get going.
Would you like to shake my hand, Sergeant?
Not while I'm on duty, monsieur. The gesture could be misconstrued.
Damn.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Oh, George.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Non, monsieur.
It's the guy who bombed the cafe. The clown.
This man looks nothing like a clown.
He's taken off his grease paint and costume.
Then there is nothing to link this man with the killing.
Nothing? Look at those murderous eyes.
Hardly likely to get him convicted.
See
Okay.
you later, Sergeant.
Now that we've found out that the guy's in the local hospital, if we leave, they got a bulb out. Just noticed. We've now got the hospital, or the hospital. Don't know if I said that right. And obviously we can still go to the museum and talk to somebody about the tripod. Now, I'm going to shake things up a bit and do things in a completely weird way. I'm going to go to the museum. And we're going to go inside this museum, but not until part 8. And in this museum, we're going to meet a complete douche. So make sure you join us for that. See you soon.